Lass uns mal reinschauen. Ich freue mich so sehr auf das Video. Ich will unbedingt sehen, was die CEOs haben.
Have you ever wondered which watches are worn by the biggest CEOs? Starting with Elon Musk.
Boah, ich muss sagen, also sein Beard-Game. Also Elon, I'm a big fan of yours, but also den Bart, also boah, weiß ich nicht, ne? Also aber muss man sagen, die Fliege, sieht so aus wie eine handgebundene, das ist schon mal gut.
His net worth as of November 2022 was $250 billion, making him the richest man in the world. But what about watches? Surely a man worth $250 billion treats himself well. If you wanted to buy the most expensive watch in entire history, it would take him around 3 hours to make enough money to afford it. While Elon might not be a watch guy, he is a guy with a couple of standout watches. Back in the nascent Tesla days, Elon was spotted wearing an Omega Seamaster worth around $4,000. A clean, dressy interpretation of the iconic dive watch with a 41mm face and a stainless steel bracelet that can survive 150 meters beneath the sea. Back in 2004, during the early days of SpaceX, Elon was seen in front of a rocket wearing a 36mm Rolex Datejust, reference number 16200, worth around $9,000.
Heftig.
You won't catch Musk wearing this piece today. However, rumor has it that he has worn a Tag Heuer Cara Caliber 1887 SpaceX chronograph, branded with
Tag Heuer SpaceX? Das gab es? Ne. Cool. Ja, Wahnsinn, sogar mit Metallarmband. 5 Mille würde ich... Aber coole Uhr. Guck mal an. SpaceX 2012. Krass, wie viel gab es denn davon? Wie viel limitierte gab es denn davon? Auf 2012 Exemplare? Boah, das ist aber nicht wenig.
With the SpaceX rocket on the dial and on the case back. Tag Heuer released the watch as a limited edition in 2012, not only as collaboration with SpaceX, but also to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of the Cara being the first watch to be worn in space. Nowadays estimated this piece is worth around $5,000. In very un-Musk-like fashion, Elon has also been spotted at least once wearing what appears to be one of the high-end watches, a Richard Mille RM005, which is worth around $130,000. Although Elon might not be the watch guy, he definitely has some good pieces in his small collection. Next up we have the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. His net worth as of November of 2022 was $200 billion, making him the second richest man in the world. Starting off with the Ulyss Nardin dual time that he has been spotted wearing many times. The watch itself is worth around $12,000.
So eine random Uhr an sein Handgelenk. Hä? Wie ist das zustande gekommen? Ulyss Nardin.
Recently, Bezos flew on a suborbital flight into space, reaching a peak altitude of 66.5 miles. For this flight, Bezos went with the classic, an Omega Speedmaster moon watch worth around $5,000. The Speedmaster was the first watch worn on the moon during the Apollo missions. Omega made Bezos a custom strap and he wore the watch around his suit, perhaps in homage to the astronauts that wear their watches outside their spacesuits. As far as we know, those are only watches that Bezos owns. Bill Gates, a man who stands behind Microsoft, has a net worth of $130 billion as of November of 2022. You would expect a man like Bill Gates to be wearing a Rolex or Patek Philippe, like many of his counterparts, but you would be wrong. Gates is a simple, practical man who likes functional watches. As such, it is no surprise to see him wearing Casio watches. The watch he is seen wearing the most is an extremely popular dive watch from Casio, the Casio MDV-106-1AV Duro, worth around $50. At least, majority of us can agree that all of us have more expensive watch collection than one of the richest mans in the world. Next up we have Warren Buffett. His net worth as of November 2022 was $100 billion. So what would we expect to find in the watch collection of Warren Buffett? One of the most successful.
Aber die Knopflöcher sehen mir so nach Kiton aus. Ich glaube hier, das sieht mir ziemlich nach Kiton aus. Er hat hier diese gefütterte Schulter mit einem starken Inlay, aber die Knopflöcher sieht ein bisschen auch so dieser weite Schnitt.
Investors of all time. He lives in the same home he purchased in 1958 for $31,500 and only recently upgraded his Nokia flip phone to an iPhone. He's also worn the same watch, a Rolex Day-Date, for decades. He is very fond of Rolex, and even once attempted to buy the company. Rolex declined because it's controlled by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. The watches have only been made of gold or platinum, so it was a splurge for the parsimonious multi-billionaire. Following up with Jack Dorsey. He is the eccentric founder and former CEO of Twitter, as well as the founder and current CEO of Square. Dorsey is estimated to have a net worth of around $11.5 billion. Dorsey was spotted wearing a Cartier crash, and it appears that Dorsey doesn't just have the standard yellow-gold variation with Roman numeral indices. From what we can see, he has the Cartier crash in rose gold with skeleton dial. The Cartier crash with skeleton dial is currently selling for close to $200,000. On the other hand, CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner, has some taste when it comes to watches. He's most often spotted with a stainless steel AP Royal Oak worth roughly $40,000.
15,300, ja.
Jeff has also been spotted with a Patek Philippe Nautilus stainless steel 5726001, worn on a leather strap, which is worth around $110,000. The American businessman seems to favor sports watches, a match for the casual and dynamic company culture at LinkedIn. Larry Ellison, a co-founder of Oracle, and is estimated to be worth $85.5 billion by November of 2022. Along with buying an island, a yacht, homes, and private planes, Larry Ellison also likes to spend some of his vast fortune on luxury watches. He rotates through several top-tier timepiece brands, but the ones we've seen Larry Ellison wearing the most are Panerai, Rolex, and Richard Mille watches, but he is most often seen with his Richard Mille RM005, worth around $130,000. Also spotted with a Panerai Luminar Marina, a version of this watch with a leather band retails new for $6,200. He also owns a Rolex Submariner worth around $15,000 and many other timepieces. He was CEO at his early days, but decided to pursue a path of investing. One of the stars of the ultra-popular television show, Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, is estimated to be worth around $400 million. He made a bulk of his fortune when he sold his software company in 1999 and continues to increase his wealth with savvy business deals. In addition to growing his bank account, Kevin O'Leary, who is also known as Mr. Wonderful, spends plenty of time growing his watch collection too. He owns watches from all the finest brands, including Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, AP, Rolex, Cartier, Omega, and FP Journe, just to name a few. He also insists on pairing his watches with bright red straps while on Shark Tank, making it impossible to miss what's on his wrist. He was spotted with his Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is worth around $110,000, as well with stainless steel Rolex Daytona on a red Oysterflex rubber bracelet worth around $35,000. Following up, we have Jacob & Co. Epic X Chrono Black Titanium with price tag of $25,000. At the beginning of the year, Kevin was wearing his new AP Royal Oak Jumbo Ultra Thin reference number 15202 with blue dial on his signature red strap. The watch itself is worth $130,000. Only a month later, he got new addition to his big collection. We are talking about gold Daytona, nicknamed Eye of the Tiger. Again on a red Oysterflex bracelet worth around $200,000. He also has FP Journe Elegante 48mm titlet also on red strap. The current market price for this watch is over $60,000. One of his most unique watches is AP code 11.59 Perpetual Calendar. The watch itself is worth around $90,000. Besides Kevin O'Leary, Jeff Weiner, and Larry Ellison, this list shows that hardest working people in the world flex the least.
Nicht schlecht, ja, cooles Video. Auf Krampf alles mit Rot, weiß ich nicht. Ja, ich fand es auch bei manchen Uhren jetzt nicht so krass passend. Also bei der AP und so hätte man sich sparen können.